Hello, my name is David Coven. I'm the President and Executive Director of Scholarship Junkies, and we're a national organization that leverages the power of individuals who've mastered the art of scholarship success. And so we cater to the needs, the big demographic of people who are applying to colleges and who need financial assistance. And so we work on narrowing the achievement gap and making sure everyone has access to, financial success for higher education.
How do you define success?
Well, success, that's very, very subjective, right? So success is defined by the person who's working towards it. And so there's financial success, but I define my success as a measure of my happiness and the community impact that I can have not only for myself, but for those around me. And so, yeah.
Where did your inspiration come from?
It's a very good question. I have a lot of people that I've looked up to. Sam Lim, who is the original founder of Scholarship Junkies, he's definitely helped me along the way. Adam Burden, who's been kind of a pillar of support and inspiration and wisdom and insight in my life. And my mom, right? She raised 4 children on her own, 3 jobs, working hard, and so she definitely stands out as somebody who I look up to help support and drive my passion and inspiration.
How did you move from idea to something actual succeeding in this market?
That's a very good question. And so, in order to make something a reality, to bring something to fruition, you need the big picture component, right? So you need people who are willing to learn everything, and ultimately who are willing to sacrifice almost anything to get there. And so you need time, dedication, passion, but most of all, you need communication. And so you need to be able to express what your faults are, how you're going to overcome them, and what other people you can bring along with you to make sure that your vision is successful.
How did you organize your team?
That's a very good question. I looked at what I couldn't do and what others could do better than me. And I wanted to surround myself by people who had similar or likewise passions, pursuits, dreams, and visions, and also who accompanied themselves with skills that I didn't have. And so when you bring that together, we have a rock star team of people who can ultimately accomplish any task.
If you could have what if you could have anything, what would you have done differently?
What?
What? If you could have, what would you have done differently?
If I could have, what would I have done differently? Uh, that's a very good question. I mean, there are a lot of things I wish I would have, replied to quicker or, thought more out. But ultimately, everything has been a stepping stone to where I am now, and I'm at a relatively nice spot. I probably would have fundraised more money in the beginning, but ultimately, that doesn't push me anywhere I'm not right now. So everything went really well. Um, it's a good question. What about more suits? Suits are nice. Colored shirts. Yeah,
More ties.
more ties. I don't really like ties. Not ties.
What makes a great entrepreneur?
An entrepreneur is someone who craves success as much as they want to breathe. Right? And so everything they do is pushing them down that path of how they define success. And it doesn't have to be financial. It can be based on impact. It can be based on vision. It can be based on happiness, like I base my success. But ultimately, what makes a wonderful entrepreneur is someone who knows that there's a problem, someone who can identify their weaknesses in solving that problem, and someone who can compel, not be the boss, but be the leader with their team of individuals to solve that problem and ultimately make something that's wonderful that benefits more people than themselves. And so an entrepreneur is defined as someone who has that gumption, that spirit, that leading innovation that ultimately brings them from, inception, the idea of things, to a team of powerful players and making something that they only thought was possible for into a reality.
What role did education have in your success?
Education had every role in my success. And so everywhere that I am, everything that I've done, everything that I've gotten, everyone I've ever met has all been found and, started in education. It's been the pinnacle of kind of branching out, building a network, and ultimately finding out how I define success for myself. And so education is probably the ultimate tool in becoming an entrepreneur or starting something or developing something or maintaining something. Because the key to not getting left with the old trends is to keep thinking, keep building, keep designing, keep innovating, and all that is ground in expanding your education.
What's the most important question we did not ask and your answer?
The most important question I did not ask, and my answer to that question?
That I did not ask you.
Oh, the most important question that you did not ask me? Um, that's a good question. The most important question I think was missed in this whole thing is how do you handle failure? Right? Because when we go through education, when we go through high school, we'll go through anything that's new and different, failure is inevitable. And ultimately, it's an instrumental part of success, right? And so the answer to that, how do you handle failure, is you use it as leverage, as a stepping stone to success. Ultimately, you use that failure to build new opportunities for yourself, to realize that you didn't find some way not to do it, but you found a different way of thinking about something. And too often people shy away from failure and see it as the end-all, end-all. In education, we beat the Y out of individuals and ultimately make them succumb to the power of failure. But in entrepreneurship, when you're building something new, something that's your baby, something that's amazing, that's ultimate, that's different, and ultimately going to make an impact somewhere, failure is key. And you have to fail repeatedly, because that's the only way you know you're doing something different, new, and better than anyone else before. And so utilizing failure not as a barrier or as a crux, but as a stepping stone to making truly great innovation and becoming a truly amazing entrepreneur. And so utilizing that failure to see past your shortcomings and to see ultimately how you need to get from point A to point B.